What is up, sweet friends, and welcome to the Imperfect Success podcast, the podcast teaching you, a success-driven perfectionist, how to achieve your goals imperfectly. Today, we are sitting down with New York City makeup artist Kaley Were. We talk about what it's like growing two businesses and being a recovering perfectionist. No small feat there. What are some products we need to look out for in the makeup industry? What are some products we need to avoid in the makeup industry? What are different ways we can use makeup that don't take hours and hours and hours? And Kaley gives us a makeup 101 class for us busy people who don't know how to make up. Let's dive in. My name is Nicole Baker-Holloman. I'm a coach for perfectionists, a recovering perfectionist herself, and striver of imperfect success. I'm so excited to talk to Kaley today. I wanted to have Kaley on because we've never done an episode about makeup. And as high achiever busy types, we tend to be really impatient when it comes to a face routine and stuff like that. I don't know about y'all, but I have been doing the same makeup routine since high school. Yep, since high school, indeed. And I learned so much from Kaley by following her on social media. I went to college with her. She's been just such a delight in my life, and just she's so freaking knowledgeable. And so finally I reached out to her and I was like, would you be interested in doing this? And thank God she was like, duh. So what I didn't expect, however, to learn was just how much there is to know about makeup that I had no idea. We know about the basics, the foundation, the mascara, the eyebrows. That's literally my makeup routine. There it is, right there. But she talks about all different ways we can use makeup, different ways that makeup, makeup can be versatile on our faces. And I was so blown away. And then she just capped off an incredible episode with giving an insanely generous gift at the end. So stick around to the end because she's just, I'm blown away that she offered this, and she's just a freaking gem. So without further ado, let us begin our conversation with Kaley Were. Kaley Were, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Nicole Baker. Oh my gosh. But your last name is about to change.
My last name has changed. It's
has
not
it already?
Formally changed. I haven't formally changed it. I'm in the process of figuring out what Social Security needs from me.
Well, that's what I was about to say, because it is a long process, I have found. So if you had legally already changed your name, I was about to bow down
hell no,
to you.
absolutely no. I'm changing it in business settings because I'm I might as well just get this all going. I changed the name of the podcast. I changed my formal name. I'm let's just rip this Band-Aid off. But
exciting.
It's a lot. Kaley Were, it is so happy. I'm so happy to have you today. You are such a light in my life and have been for many, many years. I would love other people to know how amazing you are. Who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, my name is Kaley Were. I'm a professional actor and pro freelance makeup artist. I have known Nicole for, probably close to 10 or so years now.
10 years.
Which is wild. But yes, I'm a creative freelancer living and working in New York City.
Oh, amazing. I'm so excited to get into all this. So I originally wanted to do this episode because first and foremost, you're a genius when it comes to makeup. I see your videos and
Thank you.
How does she do that? That is witchcraft right there. I don't understand. And I've heard from a few people where it's I feel I'm still doing my makeup routine from, the early 2000s or from my middle school makeup routine. I'm going to raise my hand
for
right there,
sure.
That's definitely
for
me.
Sure.
And I wanted to have you on to talk about makeup tips and all that kind of stuff. But you and I've also talked about your experience with perfectionism and imposter syndrome. And I thought you would just be the most perfect person to come on the show and talk about that. So I want to first and foremost talk about your story and how you got to where you are today. What brought you to, I almost see this in two parts, but I don't know if you do, what brought you to the makeup world and also what brought you to the performing world, or are those overlapped?
I think they kind of overlapped. I hear a lot of actors talk about their side gigs, but I feel very lucky that I can call makeup artistry a true parallel career. So I was always singing and dancing, and I was always also drawing and painting and being very creative with makeup. And I would always, I'm sure many people have the same experience, getting into my mom and my grandma's makeup stash and, painting all over myself and everybody else and whatnot. I went to school for musical theater. I went to school in Oklahoma with Nicole. I and I've been a professional actor for the last, oh my gosh, crazy sentence, almost 8 years. And when I'm not performing, I'm in the city doing headshot makeup for TV, film, and theater. So I love that it's a parallel career in that I get to work with other creatives. I get to flex my creative muscles in a different way. Um, and it's honestly, as a perfectionist, it's quite therapeutic to sort of focus on lifting somebody else up for 2, 3 hours, instead of focusing on maybe my own neuroses about my own career or my own self perception. And that's been like super healing. And I've been able to see more beauty and value in myself as I've learned to see the beauty and value, excuse me, in each of my clients. Um, However, it's taken almost 8 years to get to the point where I'm doing the makeup artistry freelancing full time.
Yeah.
Um, and you know, something you talk a lot about is what people see on the front end versus the back end. And behind the scenes, it's been a lot of struggle, a lot of networking, a lot of imposter syndrome, because I didn't go to cosmetology school. I don't have any sort of cosmetology accreditation. And so this imposter syndrome of, oh, well, people are suddenly going to realize that I'm not as legitimate or as
Mhm.
talented as maybe people think that I am. That has been a feeling that has sort of always followed me a little bit
Yeah.
over
Is
the
it
past
still
8 years.
is it still there even 8 years later? Do you still feel that pretty
Yes,
regular?
absolutely. And
The
I think
best
something
yes I've
that's
ever heard. That was amazing.
yes. Oh my
Yes.
gosh. And something that's been super healing too is through gosh, the beauty of social media is that it can actually be social, which is fantastic. So through social media, I've met lots of other makeup artists in the New York City sort of headshot sphere. And we all get together and have cocktails every once in a while, and everyone feels the same way.
Mm.
Even artists that I've looked up to for years, artists that I consider mentors, that I consider the gold standard in what they do as artists, um, sort of lament to me that, oh my gosh, I had this shoot the other day that just so did not go well. And I was so afraid that the client or the photographer was going to be angry with me. And I felt like I wasn't showing up as my best self or my best artist. And it's, it's very, very comforting to
Yeah.
hear other people say that. Even these people that I consider, the gold standard, people that I put on a pedestal.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think it ever quite goes away.
Why do you think it is that that is such a universal feeling, especially in such a performance-based setting, both in musical theater and in, makeup artistry? Like you are like performing is maybe that's not
Yeah,
the right word, but
no,
your
it is for
art is
sure.
literally going on someone's face. Like, why do you think that is so prominent in these two spaces?
I think it is because it's so personal. Anything that has an artistic component, um, can't be as analytical and cut and dry and black and white as maybe work in some other spheres. Um, when I'm performing, I am offering up a piece of myself. And when someone rejects you or says you're not right for that project or, whatever the case may be, even if you get really, really good at standing up and brushing it off, there is a part of you that realizes that on some level, you as a
Yeah.
person are being rejected. And I think the same goes for makeup artistry. Um, there is a creative, almost sort of like soul filled component to putting your artistry on somebody else's face, right?
Yeah.
And it's a very interpersonal experience. Physically, you're so close to that person. Emotionally, you can get quite close to that person. And so I think both spaces feel very vulnerable. And I think it can bring up a lot of those, you know, childhood traumas and childhood fears of not being good enough and not being lovable if I can't perform or execute
Yeah.
XYZ, if that makes sense.
Oh, 100% makes sense. And I'm curious, are there any things that you do to help aid that, like because rejection stings. You can do therapy, you can do coaching, you can do whatever for
For sure.
eons and it will still sting. Are there things that you do on a regular basis that help aid that? Because we do have a lot of performers and artists who listen to the show, and I think that they'd love to hear what are some things you
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
I mean, it's only something that I've gotten even like a little bit better at in the past couple of years. Um, and my husband has been fantastic in helping me with this because as an artist at my core, I have sort of turned all of my hobbies into aspects of my career, right?
Yes.
I've sort of monetized everything that I love doing. And so with a lot of his encouragement, I have found so many other things in my life that I don't monetize whatsoever.
Mm.
And I have noticed that the more full I make my life outside of my career or my artistic goals, just the more even keeled I feel. I spend a lot of time, I say in nature. I live in New York City. I spend a lot of time in the park.
Yeah.
Um, I try to exercise as much as I can. I'm not very good at meditation, but boy, oh boy, am I trying to get better.
It's hard.
I feel like it's just going to be like,
Yeah.
a lifelong goal, a lifelong struggle, right? And you just keep going back to it as often as you can. But yeah, I think the more full I make my life outside of those artistic goals or those career goals, just the more even keeled I feel. And I feel like it gives me so much great perspective. I can come back after going on a walk or after going bird watching, which is something we've really liked doing lately.
I love that.
I know we're like little grandparents, but yeah, I can come back and something that seemed so big in the moment, I can have a little bit of perspective, and that's really helpful. And just talking to other artists too about the way that they feel and realizing that I'm not alone in feeling that way and that
Yeah.
it's like a universal human experience. That's been huge.
Yeah. I'm curious in the like you've been in New York for 8 years. You've been building up this career of yours both as a performer and as a makeup artist for 8 years. So much of what we talk about the show is what was the imperfect side of the story? Because on social media, like you alluded to, we always, see people being like, I'm a professional in this way, or I'm succeeding in this way. Here's my accomplishments, here's my
Uh-huh.
accolades. And we think they just like dropped in because our all or nothing
For
brain
sure.
really fucks us over that way.
Yeah,
But
uh-huh.
what are some situations that maybe I'm gonna call them bumps in the road that were moments where you're like, oh my God, should I do X or Y, give up or keep going? Like, what are some moments that you experienced that led you to where you are today?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure this is the same for many creatives, but the pandemic was
Oh my God.
huge,
Yeah.
huge roadblock. And I have had to try to learn how to diversify the services that I offer because performing is an in-person exchange of art, and so is makeup artistry.
Yeah.
And so over the pandemic, I really realized that I couldn't sort of rest on my laurels anymore, and just expect word of mouth or in-person experiences, I guess you could say, to carry me through all the ups and downs of what being a creative freelancer means. And that's kind of when I really dove headfirst into the social media thing. And I think I had not wanted to dive in headfirst for so long because I think there are a lot of people who have a sort of negative view of the word influencer.
Mm.
Um, but I heard another creative freelancer who actually teaches makeup artists how to diversify their income. She's great. It's called Freelance with Freedom. That's a little plug. If anybody is a creative freelancer, you don't have to be a makeup artist or a performer, but if you're in any sort of creative career, Freelance with Freedom is a fantastic resource.
We'll plug her in the show
Um,
notes as well.
yeah, absolutely. Um, and Harriet is her name. She said that influencer just means that you have influence, which
Mm.
just means that people trust you. And when I, right,
Ooh.
right,
Ooh.
it
People needed to
just,
hear that today.
right, it just means that people trust you. So for me, makeup education and making people feel more confident in using the products that they already have or learning to use products for the first time is a huge part of why I love what I do so much. And so when I realized I could use my platform as a way to not only get people to trust me as an educator, but also just feel a little bit better about themselves, that took the factor out of it for me completely. And so over the pandemic, I really dove headfirst into social media, um, trying to share as much information as I could. And I mean, the dividends that I've seen between now and then, especially in my makeup artistry, it's been crazy.
Wow. Like
So
what? Do you
in
mind
a
expanding?
way,
Can you expand on that?
oh my, yeah, oh my gosh. I mean, like even just in terms of followers
Mm.
and engagement and all that stuff and whatnot. But just the number of photographers and other industry professionals who now I feel do trust me and who can use my social media as a portfolio or a representation of not only my work, but I try to get my face on there as much as possible too, so that people can go see what I'm like, see my personality,
Yeah.
see if we might vibe. And it's just been an indispensable business tool and like a really fun creative outlet
Yeah.
too. I'm like living my 14-year-old YouTuber dreams.
I love
Like
that.
the little 14-year-old inside me is so happy. And so just letting go of like, okay, so people are maybe going to think that I'm annoying because I'm putting makeup on my face in front of a camera and they might think that's annoying. Just letting go of that
Yeah.
been super freeing and it's super fun. So the biggest roadblock that I thought like, oh my gosh, like am I gonna have to get a side gig or a parallel career that's not so in-person based and it's more quote unquote stable or whatever. Um, Really that roadblock was the thing that propelled me forward into this new stage of my career that's now allowed me to do this full time, which is crazy.
Because you also do social media management, or did you do
I
that for a
do.
while? You do? Awesome. What are
I
like
do, yeah.
what are three things that people who are creatives primarily
Hmm.
could, if they, because whenever I hear social media, I hear this, God, I'd be able to retire if I had a nickel for every time I've heard this. I
Yeah,
hate
sure.
social media. I don't want to use it. Social media sucks. I hate social media. Blah, 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 blah. Social media sucks. Blah, blah, blah. I
Yeah.
feel a bit terrible. Blah, 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 blah. What are three things that you think people can do who have that mindset around social media, but who are creators or business owners or people who, you know, I'm not going to say ever that you need to have social media, but it is a very resourceful tool
Yeah.
that is pretty low barrier of entry, very low barrier of entry.
Very low barrier of entry.
Mm-hmm.
I used to get really caught up in like, oh, I don't have the nicest camera, or I don't have a very good lighting setup. And really great advice that I got was like, quality of the information is more important than quality of content.
Oh, screen keeper. I love that. Yes.
So I guess my first bit of advice would be if social media feels icky to you, reframe the way you think about the word influencer. Like I said, influencer means influence, which means people just trust you. So if you have any kind of information that you feel like you could share with the public and it could be beneficial to them, which I feel like each and every business owner or creative has something that they want to share, um,
Yeah.
share that thing.
I
And
want
it'll
to
feel less icky, I think.
do you mind? I want to pause right here. Why do you think? Because I have my own thoughts on this, but I want to hear yours. Why do you think that the word influencer has become such like a ick factor word?
I think there's this connotation that influencers or content creators, I don't know, like they don't work very hard or like they don't have to do anything, and then they make a crap ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
However, now having gotten into the ins and outs of making videos and lighting and trying to make things look perfect, like it's hard and it's
It's
time
so hard.
consuming. So hats off
People,
to all the full-time content creators because that shit is hard.
I think about it almost like wedding photographers. Like I've heard
Yes.
like I've heard a lot of people because getting married, you also meet other people who are getting married and planning their weddings. And I heard a lot of people say like, oh well, like my photographer's only being there for like 9 hours. Why are they $6,000 or like whatever the cost was? And I'm like, yeah, they're only there for 9 hours, but every single photo is edited, it is chosen,
Correct.
it is
Color corrected.
corrected.
Yep.
Sometimes it's even taking someone's face who's smiling in one photo and they're sneezing in the other and having to copy and paste it. Like there is so
Yep.
much behind the scenes. And I think about that very similar for people like content creators. Like I was talking to someone recently and they're like, oh yeah, podcasting's so easy. You just like talking to a microphone. I was like,
No,
like
no.
there's like,
I wish
planning
it
the
was that
episode. I
easy.
wish it was that easy. But there's, for instance, the videos you do, which are gorgeous. And can you go ahead and
Thank
plug your
you.
Instagram just so people can follow you right now?
Yes, I'm at Kaley Were Beauty. So KALEYWERE Beauty.
Perfect. They're breathtaking. I love your
Thank
videos.
you.
The cuts between like things and just everything you do. And I'm like, this girl must take like the amount of
It's time
editing that must
consuming
go
for
into these
sure.
videos. I'm blown away by it. But there are platforms that make it easier, but it doesn't mean that that work just suddenly goes away. So I completely
Yeah.
agree. I just wanted to touch on that real quick, but please continue.
No, I think you're completely right. And I also think that like because content creators make their money from advertising and collaborating with brands, I think maybe there's this perception that like there's like a sellout aspect or like, like a capitalism aspect or like all that stuff.
Yeah.
So as much as I can, I try to only collaborate with and work with and share brands that I've used like in my professional
Yeah.
artistry that I'm like, okay, like this actually stacks up under high definition cameras and lasts all day and all that stuff. So I do try to be really choosy about the stuff that I actually share as well. I feel like I've gotten completely off topic.
No,
Oh,
that's
three
totally off
things.
topic.
Three
Yes.
things. What was my first thing? Oh, influence equals trusting. People trust you. Um, yeah, I would say quality of information is better than quality of video or content or whatever. And so I guess my third piece of advice would be to just start. Just start slow. There's all this, oh, the algorithm loves consistency. So post on every Wednesday or post every Monday, blah, 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 blah. If that is overwhelming to you, I say, especially at the beginning, just throw it out the window.
Yeah.
Start small. It's like a diet and exercise routine. If you want it to be a part of your business and be a part of your lifestyle, it has to be something that you can maintain. So
Yes.
start small and there is value in what you have to offer. I promise. So just dig a little deeper, find that thing that makes your business or your artistry or whatever it is that you're selling or wanting to get out there unique. Um, and capitalize on that.
Yeah. I think so often I hear, with perfectionists and high achievers, it's kind of that all or nothing syndrome, right? So
Hmm.
if I'm going to start an Instagram account, I need to be able to post 2 reels per day, 10
Uh-huh.
stories or whatever, like the like business people on
Yep.
social media are like, this is the only way to grow, which I always,
Yep.
anytime someone says this is the only way to grow, I'm like, red flag. That's not true. But
No, there's no only way to
there's
do
no
anything. So
nothing. It's crazy. And like, but I do think that there's so much of that, like I have to go all in or I can't do it at all. So I
for
love
sure.
that you say like basically meet yourself where you're at and just like do whatever you can do that's consistent because it's just this chapter of your life. Like there are chapters in my life where I'm posting 4 or 5 times a week. And there's chapters where I'm like, if I can do 2 this week, then I'm winning, but I will most
Same.
likely do 0. Like, and that's
Same.
okay.
Yep.
I just wanted to highlight that it's important to remember that that's always ebbing and flowing. Are there any moments in your life where you kind of go into that all or nothing thinking like that, where if I'm going to do this, I have to be the best? Or if I
Oh my
go,
gosh, all the time,
the
especially when
look you
I'm
just gave
first,
me. I
all the
love that.
time. Like, especially when I'm just first starting a project, or I think that's how I felt over the pandemic, especially when I had nothing to do but just sit around and brainstorm, but also criticize myself for all the things I wasn't doing. There was this, this
Yes.
little monster on my shoulder that's like, you need a better camera, you need better lighting, you have to blah 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 blah. So I would just say let that go. Like
Mhm.
you can't start at 100, and you shouldn't expect yourself to.
Mhm.
Like you can't expect yourself to go to the gym and right off the bat be able to deadlift, I don't know, 75, 80 pounds if
Wow.
you've never done deadlifts
Yeah.
before, right? Like you have to start small, and then it will feel, I think, like less of a chore because you'll just have sort of incorporated it into your lifestyle and your
Yeah.
schedule.
Oh God, everyone just go back 3 minutes and just re-listen to that again. I think everyone needed to hear that today, myself included, definitely.
You know that every episode of the Imperfect Success podcast addresses different areas of perfectionism and the strategies to overcome them. But did you know that there are 3 different types of perfectionists? And yes, you are absolutely one of them. But to save you time on some deep soul searching, I created a free quiz called What Type of Perfectionist Are You? And no, this is not your classic BuzzFeed quiz where you learn what Starbucks drink you'd be in Ted Lasso and then move on with your life. This is a quiz that goes way deeper. You will not only learn your perfectionist type, but you'll also learn how to catch yourself when you're in the negatives of your type of perfectionist and the step-by-step process to get out of it. Plus, you'll also learn the positives of your type. And yes, you have them, despite what you may think. After studying perfectionism for 5 years, I started noticing 3 major patterns of the people I coached, people in our community, and within myself, because I am absolutely a recovering perfectionist. But each of these patterns had a superly different strategy to get out of your type of perfectionism. And thus, the quiz was born. Now, over 2,000 people have taken this quiz and learned how to get out of perfectionism. Just go ahead and picture a proud Nicole coach face right here and insert that. That is just mind-blowing to me. You can learn what type of perfectionist you are completely for free by heading to the link in the show notes or by going to lifecoachbaker.com/quiz. Now, back to the show.
I'm curious. I'm taking like a
I release
10
you.
degree. I'm taking like a 10-degree pivot here, but I'm curious.
Yeah.
In the last, how long have you been performing for? Let me actually ask that first.
Oh gosh. I mean, I grew up a competition dancer,
Oh
so
my God, that's right. Yes.
yeah. So many, many years since I was 4, so
Yeah.
26 years.
So, like, what are some of the big pivotal moments where maybe you've changed your mind about something in the performance industry or even as a business owner? Like, what are some things
Mm,
that you believed at the beginning that you definitely do not believe now? Or even back at, I'll pull in school here because we both went to a very, very competitive college where things
yeah.
were a little different than maybe we think now.
Yeah,
What are
for
some things
sure.
that you've changed your mind on in terms of how you interact both as an artist and as a makeup artist?
Yeah. I don't know if this is just me getting older. Um, I'm 30 now, and people say there is like a big mindset shift that most people have around this age. And I'm married now. I know you can relate. Let me know if you can relate to this. I no longer feel such pressure to do things that are not necessarily gonna serve me.
Retweet. Retweet. Yes.
Like, you know, when I was 23, and I was dating my husband at the time, but he lived in Canada. So, if I wanted to go off on a performing contract, excuse me, that paid me, $300 a week, I could sublet out my apartment, get somebody else in there. I didn't have any expenses, and I could go do those sort of creative, pay your dues
Mm.
kinds of contracts. I can't do that anymore. I have a home. I have financial obligations. I don't want to be away from my husband for, those super, super long periods of time anymore. Just a lot of things in my life have shifted, and
Yeah.
I don't really feel the need to go do things that no longer serve me or no longer make me happy or no longer put me in a better position than I was before. Like I feel like I'm done paying my dues.
Yeah.
I feel like, and you don't have let me back up. You don't have to have, you know, slaved away in whatever industry you're in, or like let
Yes.
people step all over you for you to get to a point of saying, "No, I don't want to do that."
Mm.
You know?
I I want to touch on this real quick because the amount of times I hear people say, like, I want to have that type of mindset. I want to feel like I can say no, especially people I coach who are performers, particularly. Like, I don't
Yeah.
want to feel like I have to go to every audition. I don't want to feel like I have to say yes to every sponsorship or gig or whatever it is. But I
Yeah,
know I need to start saying no. But there's that FOMO, that fear of missing out. There's that, oh my
for
God, but what
sure.
if this was the one contract that was going to kick me to that one person? Like, you know exactly what I'm talking
Yes,
about. So like,
absolutely.
does that still go through your head or have you kind of
Oh,
shushed
yeah.
that down?
I have shushed it down a little bit, but yeah, absolutely. I think especially because we went to a performing arts college, and that's the rhetoric there that we're taught when our minds are very, very malleable, and we're very impressionable,
Yeah.
that, you know, you have to, with a smile on your face, accept anything and everything that comes across your path, and you should be so lucky. Um, but
Oh, you
I
just
I
hit
am
me in
at a
the old
I'm
performer.
sorry.
No, that felt
Sorry.
no, it's so real. It's just so real. I know a lot of people feel that way.
But I'm at a point now, and I encourage all of you to try to get there, that like, I'm not lucky. I have worked so hard. I have worked my ass off. I'm not lucky to be here. I deserve to be here.
Mhm.
Um, and so, of course, every once in a while it'd be like, oh, but that would be a great contract to go on because this choreographer knows this person and blah, 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 blah. And yes, of course, networking in any industry is important. But if it's going to take you away from your partner or your home, or it's not going to be the smartest financial option for you, or, whatever the case may be, I just hope we can all get to a point where we say, like, I'm not going to do that thing because it's not serving me, and I shouldn't have any guilt about that because I'm not lucky. I am a hard worker.
God damn it. That's good. God damn it. That's
Preach.
so good. Preach. Mic drop.
Preach.
Scorpidity. Oh my God. I just, I used to think for so long, and honestly, it's still those devils still love on my shoulder. It's just like you
Yeah,
can't
same.
feel proud of yourself, or you can't feel like you've deserved it, or you can't feel successful until you have
Yes.
literally pushed yourself beyond any thinkable brink.
Yeah,
And that is something that I'm actively changing my mind about. I'm actively, quite frankly, in therapy over, is like that mindset
yeah,
and how to adjust it. And it's so hard because that kind of mindset is sometimes, what got us to where we are today. Like, you have this amazing
for
career,
sure.
like, you live in New York, you do the actor, you are literally like the actor's dream. And there's still that little part of our minds that's like, okay, but how did I go to every audition? Did I,
Hmm.
push myself as hard as I could on this workout this morning?
Hmm.
Did I da 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 da?
Yes.
So what, and I'm going to ask an earlier question, but I want to ask it in this context. What are some things that you
Yeah.
do to alleviate that stress, anxiety? I'm going to call it what it is.
Yeah. I mean, exercise and therapy.
Preach.
I'm I'm such a big advocate, and honestly, mental health medication.
Yes. Thank
I
you for saying that. Yes.
I am on mental health medication. I'm on anxiety medication, and boy oh boy has it changed my life. Yes, I still get anxious about things, but I don't ruminate on things quite so much as I
Yeah.
used to. And so it was a fantastic choice that my doctor and I made together. Um, and so I would just say anything that maybe your upbringing or your childhood taught you is taboo or shameful, like anything that you feel like a little bit weird about exploring, I would just encourage you to explore those things, because like it could be the catalyst to changing your life. I mean, I don't know why I haven't always been on anxiety medication, because just like completely different day-to-day experience. It's fantastic.
Oh,
Um so yeah,
yeah.
I don't know. I would just say, like, don't be afraid to explore those things.
You rock. Thank you for saying that. I love you being so vulnerable like that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, of
Um,
course.
I know we have an actual topic we meant to talk about on this podcast, which
Oh
is
yeah,
makeup.
whatever.
And I'm like, oh, we should probably actually get into some tips
Eh,
on that. I'd love to hear, like, for people who do not makeup, like they don't know
yeah.
how to, not even like they don't do makeup, but they just don't know what the ins and outs of it. What are some like very, very, very beginner makeup tips that you would give to people who are wanting to start stepping into that, like you were saying earlier, like feeling more confident, feeling more like walking into the room and I know I look good.
Good. Yeah, I think we're also in a fantastic era in the makeup world right now because minimalistic natural makeup with like multi-use products are so in right now. And I feel like that is such a fantastic gateway for people who don't have a ton of confidence or don't know all the different products to buy. Really you could go into Sephora or Ulta or the drugstore, wherever you want to go shopping for makeup, and you could find a complexion product, something that goes all over the whole face, a multi-use product, something for cheeks and lips, and like a waterproof mascara because I be a sweaty person with lots of oil on my eyelids, so I always have to go waterproof. But you could pick up like 2 or 3 products, maybe an eyebrow pencil, and like be set, which is fantastic because, in 2015, 2016, I don't know if you've seen any of the content of people like splitting their face down the middle and doing like today's makeup versus 2016. Woo! Not every day with a smoky eye and a deep lip every day, please.
It's so funny because when they do
Much.
that and it's like the thin eyebrows or like just the mascara, I'm like, that's my makeup. Like
You're like, oh,
I'm like,
I haven't moved on.
I haven't.
No, there are definitely things that I'm like, oh, I still do that. But that's the millennial in me. Like that's never going away. I'm sorry.
It's like the middle, or not the middle part, the side part that
Yeah.
it dies hard. Oh yes, oh my gosh, yes, you have it.
I have it right now.
Amazing.
I have a cowlick. I can't. But yes, I would say like lean into the fact that the style right now is really glowy, really minimalistic. I would say even if you like don't want to bother buying a powder, I personally have to because like I said, I'm quite oily, but like a little bit of shine is kind of the thing right now. So if you are going, out all day and you've got 10 minutes to get ready in the morning, I would say quick primer, quick all over complexion product, maybe like an eyes, cheek, and lip cream product. And I've got some suggestions if we want to get into actual specifics. Yeah, as well. And some mascara, and you'll be golden. But I do have some more specific products that I've sort of pulled from my kit that I want to share with you.
Oh, please pull them. Do them.
I think are going to be really, really great investments. These are not drugstore prices. I will say that right off the bat. But I think it is much better to invest in a few products that will perform for you no matter the occasion.
Yes.
They're going to last all day, than going to the drugstore and getting 15 things and you bring them all home and you didn't get to test them out in the store. And so they don't really work very well. I think it's more cost effective to pare your kit down, have a few more expensive things that are going to nail it every time than, trying to buy a bunch of things. So that's my take on it.
I'll echo that because when I switched from like, it was like Bare Minerals. It wasn't even like a drugstore product, but I switched from Bare Minerals to Fenty for my all over complexion, as you call it. I don't even know what I was like, this is my foundation. Is that the foundation? Yeah. That's the word I use.
Yeah,
so when I switched from the powder to a more cream based, I was worried at first because I was like, oh my God, my skin's so oily. And it turns out I was just using too much salicylic acid. Is that what it's called? Salicylic acid? The thing that dries out your skin?
Acid?
That one.
Yeah,
yes.
salicylic acid.
So, like, dries out your skin way too much. Then I was putting that on and it wasn't really working very well. So when I switched to a cream base, my skin cleared up. People were commenting how I looked like I was glowing a lot more, which like, it was like, okay, yeah, that works. So I want to echo that, like when you switch to a product that works best for you. And I tried it on in Sephora. I didn't know how it'd work. I just liked Rihanna and I was like, oh, she's coming out with a makeup product. I'll try this.
Yeah. I know, honestly, good for her because like her products are such high quality and she's not just resting on her name. So you go, Rihanna.
So when I worked at a restaurant in Chicago, we were required to have full smoky eye, full eyebrows, full red lip every single day at work. At a restaurant. It was
restaurant. Okay.
But I would always use the Fenty everyday red or every girl red or whatever it was called. That lipstick has my heart and soul.
And did it last all day?
Every single day. Lasted all day. I would have to like scrub it off my lips at night, but it wouldn't like chap or it wouldn't stay on. Like
A little exfoliation never hurt
Exactly.
nobody.
Oh, I love a lip exfoliation. It makes me feel so like
Right?
bougie.
Well, yeah. You're doing like a little spa treatment every night just to get your lipstick off.
Feels
That's
so
fine.
good. Treat yourself, treat yourself. But continue. I just wanted to plug that in.
Yeah. So that's my thinking on things is if you invest a little bit, you're gonna get higher dividends. And honestly, a lot of the products that I'm gonna show you today, you only need like a teeny tiny little bit, like a little goes a long way. So these are gonna be products that last you a really long time.
Love it.
So the first thing I'm going to show you is from a brand called Danessa Myricks. I am actually one of her brand ambassadors. So this isn't just like a financial plug. This is me saying I'm a brand ambassador to this brand because I love their products
I love it.
so damn much. This is an amazing Black-owned brand. She is also a makeup artist. She has been super influential in the makeup artist sphere for years, and now she's creating products that everybody can use at home, which I think is fantastic. So this is the Yummy Skin Balm Powder in Universal. They also come in lots of different shades. So what I love about this is that you can use this underneath your foundation or your complexion product as a primer. Or if you get this in a tinted shade, you can match it to your complexion and you can just use this as your all over foundation. What's so magical about this is that it turns from, it turns from a balm consistency. And then when it goes on your face, it becomes almost more like a powder. It gets like really, really velvety smooth. It's magic. There's an ingredient in this called Upsolite. And it basically sort of like reads what your complexion needs, which sounds like literal witchcraft. But the way they explain it is that if you're oily throughout the day, it'll suck up that moisture. And if you're dry, it'll give you like a little bit of soft matte moisture throughout the day. I'm not a chemist. I don't completely understand it, but I do know that this is like my favorite complexion product right now. I use it all the time on my clients underneath foundation. It will extend the wear of your foundation. It has been so damn hot in New York City this summer. And so this has really helped control the oil and the sweat in my T-zone. And I have this in a shade that matches my complexion. And it's actually one of the things that I have on my face today. It's just really, really sheer, really glowy, really beautiful. I'm obsessed with this.
So even the one that matches your complexion, do you use it almost like a primer or do you use it as a foundation?
Either one.
Amazing.
Something that I really love about this brand is that there's no one way to use these products. So it's really goof proof. So if you're somebody that's like, I don't understand, like, I don't get it, I don't know, you can literally just slap it on your face and you can do no wrong.
So you've had, how long have you had this one for? Because it looks like it's still freaking brand new. There's like maybe a few little swipes, but like.
Yeah, I mean, maybe a month.
Oh my
like
God.
This will last you forever. And that's what's so great about her products as well, is you only need a teeny tiny little bit. So that's Danessa Myricks. This is the blurring balm powder.
Amazing.
Obsessed.
And we'll have all of these products in the show notes, by the way. So if anyone listening is like, oh crap, what was the name of that? We'll have it all in the show notes.
Yeah. I also love Danessa Myricks's setting powder. This is called the Evolution powder. What I really like about it is that it's just super, super finely milled, which means like the little particles are just really, really tiny. So that means it's not going to cake up quite as much as a less finely milled powder would. So you can pop this in your bag. If you're someone that gets really, really oily throughout the day, you can take this and a little powder puff or a beauty sponge or even just a little brush, pop it in your bag, pat a little bit on throughout the day, and you're never going to look dry or cakey. It looks like real skin on the face. Really, really, really love this. I use it on all my clients.
So if you're someone who does a lot of like on camera work or something like that, because I know we have a few YouTubers on this or listen to the show and all that kind of stuff, would you say that these two products right here, we'll say, would be really good for like creating almost that film like not consistency, but like that film like look?
Absolutely. Yeah. So this blurring balm powder is going to fill in any larger pores. It's going to softly mattify, I would say, the complexion. It's going to give almost sort of like a blurred filter effect. And then putting this on top is going to lock it in place all day.
I love it.
I know. And it really does last all day. Like her stuff is crazy. Another one of her products that I'm obsessed with, and this is only like 3 of like, I think hundreds of shades that she has. This is a multi-use product called Color Fix. So when I say multi-use, I really mean multi-use. I've used it all over as a complexion product. I've used it as concealer. I've used it as eyeshadow. I've used it as blush. I've used it as contour. I've used it as lips. I've used it as eyeliner. I've used it in my brows. Like, it can literally go all over the face. So she has like a neutrals line. So this is the shade that I'll use as a concealer sometimes. And then she also has like really crazy fun colors. It's great for bridal. And what I love so much about this product is that it is waterproof and it will stay all day. So on a particularly sweaty day, I'll take a little bit of this color. What I'm holding up right now is close to my complexion color, and I'll put it all over my T-zone. I'll even just like rub it in with my fingers, and that is going to create a waterproof base for all of my makeup to go on top. So even if I like sweat off the first few layers throughout the day, this is going to stay all day, and I'm going to have nice coverage in my T-zone.
Oh my God. Okay,
It's
I'm
really
going to
crazy.
confess something. I've never heard a
Yeah.
multi-use product until talking to you 50 minutes ago. I've never heard the term multi-use product.
It's going to change your life, Nicole. It's going to change your life because A, you're saving money, not having to buy an eyeshadow and a bronzer and a blush and whatever. But also you can pare down your kit. And if you're somebody that wants to feel like you have a lot of control,
How dare you at me like that?
which maybe some of your listeners might feel, this is going to help you feel like you have so much control.
I love that.
Yeah.
So when you use
I
it as
adore
like
these products.
an eyeliner, do you put it on like
Yeah.
your finger? Do you put it on a Q-tip? How do you
Yeah,
get this?
So you can either take like a small angled brush, or if you're real lazy, you could take your finger, you could take a Q-tip if you wanted. I just put a little bit on my hand first, pick up the product. There is a quite quick dry time on this, so you can't like put it down and then really take forever to work it into the skin or whatever. You have to work a little bit quickly. So I would say there is a tiny bit of a learning curve there, but I have no doubt that you will all pick it up very quickly. You'll be fine. And just brush it into the lash line. I like to use an angled brush because it gives me a lot of precision and control. And I much prefer using a product like this over like a felt tip liner because it's so easy and unforgiving, I would say. Well, it's easy to mess up and it's unforgiving when you use a felt tip liner. I always feel like, have you seen those videos where like someone messes up their liner and so then they have to fix it and then it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and all of a sudden they're like looking like the Phantom of the Opera, like wearing a full mask.
I'm like,
that's
wow,
how
that
I
was me in middle
feel.
school.
Right? That's how I feel doing liquid liner sometimes. So using an angled brush and a product like this that's easy to sort of smoke out, easy to smudge out, has been a lot more successful for me and my artistry and just my everyday life too.
Oh my God. You're incredible.
You're incredible. What else can I share with you? A similar product. So again, a multi-use product, but at a slightly lower price point. I wanted to kind of, cover all the price points. There is a sort of indie, I would call them, smaller clean beauty brand called Gen C. That's GENSEE. And they have multi-use products, much like the Color Fix. So this one is called the Mixed Media Metallic Liquid Eyeshadow. It comes in this really cute little package. But yeah, this is a multi-use product in that you can swipe this over the eyes. You could shear this out on your hand a little bit and then use it as highlight. Just sort of take your ring finger and dab it all over the high points of your face, your cheekbones, your Cupid's bow right there on your lip. And then they also have matte shades as well. So this sort of like cool brown would be great as a contour shade. Take a big fluffy brush and stipple that into the skin. This sort of medium tone would be a great wash all over the eyes. I love multi-use products because you get more bang for your buck. And I'm really into like monochromaticism. Is that the right word? Monochromatic. I really love monochromatic colors.
Amazing.
So, having the eyes tie into the cheeks, tie into the lips, I think is very, very classy. And it's a great way to cut down on, getting ready time in the morning. It's just quick, easy. You're going to look professional. Yeah.
I have
Did I
so
just
many.
change your life a
You
little
really
bit?
did. You really did. I'm gonna immediately get some multi-use products because that's not what
I
I
got
literally.
you.
You're gonna like guffaw. My I have like Fenty Beauty, and then I like as my foundation. I do like a quick little bronzer. I do mascara and then an
Love.
eyebrow cream. That's all I do every day.
That's
Works
all you
great.
need to
It's
do.
it works
That's
great. But
all you need to
I
do.
love what you have right now with your eyeshadow. And we're gonna have this episode on YouTube so people can see all these products and all that kind of stuff. But
Aw. Yeah, this is this little guy.
oh my
Just
God.
super shiny. Again, something shimmery like this, you could use it as a highlight. You can use it as an eyeshadow. If you want to get really bold, you could put on a little bit of lipstick and put this over the top so that you have like a shimmery lip. Like there are just so many different ways to use these products.
Okay, so I'm curious for people who are getting products, like are there any ingredients or any things that would be like a red flag? Like don't look for, or excuse me, look for products with these ingredients and avoid them at all costs.
Yeah, I would say especially if you're someone with sensitive skin, something that's great is that Sephora on their website now has like a clean beauty section. So there's like an entire section of brands that uses like only hypoallergenic products that have been like tested by the FDA. What's crazy is that I think the EU bans something like 28,000 ingredients from personal hygiene products, and the US only bans like 1,100. So like
Oh,
28,000 versus like 1,100. So yes, it is a little bit more like the Wild West in terms of ingredients, but having a guide like that on Sephora is really, really helpful. Something else I would always recommend is this is more like with skincare products, but like sometimes, especially with toners, like alcohol is the very first ingredient. That's going to strip the skin barrier. So just in terms of like skincare, be aware of things like that. Um, I will also say with products being creamier and clean, sort of being quote unquote in vogue right now, a lot of brands are incorporating skincare into their complexion products, so into their foundations, into their primers. Like I know Danessa Myricks puts hyaluronic acid, which is a good acid. So hyaluronic acid is a sugar that our skin naturally produces. And it bonds to water molecules and helps our skin retain moisture. And like most things, as we get older, the natural production of that slows down. So we need to start adding it back in over time. So having a product that has hyaluronic acid in it is just going to help your skin retain that moisture throughout the day. You can also get just like literal vials of hyaluronic acid if you want to just like put it in an oil and put it all over your face at the end of the day. That's a great moisturizer option.
let's say for example there's a part of your face that you're wanting to like accentuate, like your lips or your eyes. What are some things that we can do with makeup to let's do eyes for example, that like can make your eyes
Yeah.
pop a little more, because I know that's something that a
Yeah,
lot of people feel more
absolutely.
confident with whenever their eyes are like.
Yeah, I love to work with color and texture. We've all heard of the color wheel, right? We've all heard of our primary colors. So for you, Nicole, for example, because you have these beautiful bright blue eyes, the opposite color on the color wheel are those bronzy brown, sort of golden shades. So that in terms of color is the direction that I would go in if you want your eyes to pop. Me, I have brown eyes. The opposite is sort of like a bluey or like a green sort of color. So especially in the fall, I love to play with greens on my eyes. But texture is also another really fun way that we can bring certain features forward. So I always like to say shimmery or highlight sort of texture, anything that's sort of reflective that brings those features forward, and anything matte or dark brings those shades back or recedes those features. So that's why when we contour our cheeks, we use a matte sort of almost cool or like gray undertone brown, because that's going to mimic the look of real shadows on the face. So if you have big, beautiful round eyes, I'm looking at Nicole right now. She's got big, beautiful round blue eyes. Something I would do if she was sitting in my makeup chair is I would take a matte sort of cool undertone brown and put that in the crease. That's going to make that crease recede. And then I would take some beautiful golden bronzes, browns in a shimmery or a very reflective texture and put that all over the lid. So that's going to make the crease recede and the lid come forward. It's just going to make her eyes look more dynamic. It's going to make them look bigger. And that color aspect is going to really help them pop as well. Does that kind of make sense?
100% makes sense. And I'm about to go I'm about to go do all this, like listen back to this and be like, okay, put this in the crease. Like, oh my God, that's amazing. What about let's do like lips. Maybe you want your lips to pop a little bit more, but you're not like a big like red lip wearer.
Yeah, this is something that I used to talk about a lot when I worked at the Lip Lab in Soho. So it used to be owned by a company called Bite, but they went under, unfortunately. But I'm pretty sure Lip Lab just on its own just still exists throughout the US. But clients could come in and we would look at their complexion, their coloring, their hair color, eye color, all that stuff, and swatch up and create perfect lip shades for them. And something that so many clients would come in saying is like, I want the feeling of a red lip, but I don't feel like red actually looks good on me, or I feel like it's too intense for me, or whatever. And I would just say lean in to the natural tones of your complexion and your hair. So me, for example, I'm quite fair, but I am not necessarily cool in undertone. I don't know if you can tell looking at me, but I have a little bit of almost sort of warmth or yellow in my complexion. I'm not super, super pink. So for me, when I reach for a red lip, I want to reach for something that's a little warmer, meaning something that has a little bit more orange in it, or something that has a little bit more almost sort of like peach in the background. So if I want to feel like I'm wearing a red lip, but I don't want to be too over the top, I can reach for colors that sort of lean in that direction, but maybe aren't like, the Fenty red lip that you were required to wear every day at the restaurant. And similarly, if you have cooler undertones, if you tend to be kind of pink underneath, or I see this a lot with fair blondes, red can really, really overwhelm the complexion. So I would just lean a little bit more towards those sort of cool, vibrant pinks. And it'll give the same effect as a red lip, but you're maybe not going to feel quite as out of place. Does that make sense?
Yes. Oh my God. You are a wealth of information. Oh my God. I love this.
Yay.
Oh my God. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We're going to have all the links to all the products you mentioned and you showed on air in the show notes. And do you mind plugging where, what the website is? Well, again, we'll have all the links in the show notes, but will you plug what the website is?
Yeah. There's an app called Shop My, and I can actually like curate collections. So what I'm going to do is everything that we talked about today, and maybe a few other things, maybe some of my favorite products and brushes to be able to create some of the looks that we chatted about. I will curate a collection, and all of the links will be right there for you guys to shop.
You're a goddess. I love it.
Oh, you're the best, Nicole.
You mentioned plugging a little gift for personal shopping services. Can you plug that real quick?
Yes, absolutely. So I do personal shopping services. So the way it works is via email or Zoom. You will fill out a little questionnaire to give me a better idea of your makeup needs, your lifestyle. You'll send me a few photos so that I can see your coloring, your complexion, etc. Give me 5 to 7 business days, and I will send you back a full list of everything that I think will fit your lifestyle and needs. So if you're looking for skincare, I got you. If you're looking for easy minimal makeup, I got you. If you have an event coming up and you specifically need to have XYZ sort of product, but you don't really know where to start, I got you. Now, normally this service costs $150, but I'm going to give 50% off to all of you today. I'm going to give it to you for $75.
My jaw just hit the floor. That is so kind. Oh my God. And we'll have the link to it. They just go to KaleyWereBeauty.com, right? For that one?
That's right. Yep. And you can reach out to me personally, either on my website. There's a contact sheet there, or you can always hit me up on Instagram as well. I'm very active on Instagram, so I'll see it.
If you do not follow her on Instagram after listening to this episode, I truly don't know what you're doing with your life. Like, your videos are so good because not only are they they're super informative, but they're also just beautifully done. You're just a beautiful human. And then also they're just so you do these makeup style. You did one just recently, this past Tuesday, where literally it showed up on my feed and I was like, Like you just glowed. It was so beautiful. I meant to
We
tell you
love
that.
a gasp reaction.
I had a
Thank
gasp, a guffawed reaction.
you. We love a
A
guffaw.
little
Thank you.
guffaw. Um, I always ask this to guests as part of our segments to wrap up the episode. Number one
Yeah.
is, how were you a perfectionist this week?
Today, I really stressed out about getting enough bookings for the next month instead of just allowing the universe to bring them to me.
Are you still feeling stressed about it, or are you kind of like releasing it and
Yeah.
letting it go? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've got
I,
this.
I think being a creative freelancer, that's something that will never 100% go away. And yet at the end of every month, I make it, you know, and then I'm like, why did I stress so much about that? So it's a constant learning experience.
One of my favorite quotes is, I do not chase, I attract. And I
Oof.
needed that in my face, like not just like casually, like shoved in my face so much that it's not only the background of my computer, it's also the background of my iPad, which I use almost every day for work.
I think
I
need that.
I do not chase, I attract. I have no idea who said it. I think it's unknown, but great quote for that kind of experience. Last but not least is, what is a goal that either you've accomplished recently or you're in the process of accomplishing that we can celebrate with you?
I mean, there is the very like tangible goal that I've gone full time with my freelance makeup artistry. And that's my sole source of income. And I feel very, very grateful for that, that I'm able to help put a roof over our heads with my artistry. That means a lot to me. But on a more emotional level, I think I have reached a point in my life where across the board, I live an artistic life. And so if I don't perform for a few months or a year, um, it's not going to feel like I failed. My goal recently has just to live an artistic life, whatever that looks like. And that has given me so much freedom. And so instead of measuring my life in contracts or accomplishments in terms of what shows I've been in or whose makeup I've done, I can measure my life in creativity and artistry. And that feels really good.
I just got chills. Oh my God. That's so beautiful. Have you ever done or read, I guess is the right term, The Artist's Way?
I haven't done it. It's scary because everyone says it's like such a huge commitment. And the tasks are, have you done it?
I did it actually at the beginning of like going. I was very dead set on starting the coaching business, but I did it at the same time. And it basically, the irony was that I was out of the performance world and it was like into the coaching world, but that was like what created the foundation for all of Life Coach
fantastic.
Baker. It's a lot. And I do think doing it, like, again, going back to that all or nothing syndrome, there's very much this like, you have to do it all and do it perfectly. And that, in my opinion, sometimes is just not possible. So like, I missed morning pages, I missed artist dates and stuff like that. But it was a beautiful experience. And just kind of based off what you were saying, it was just like, that just immediately came to mind.
Yeah, maybe I should try it and just like give myself the grace to like miss a few assignments.
Please. Yes. Oh, Kaley, plug all your stuff again. Where can people find you? We'll have all these links in the show notes, but plug them again.
Yes. So my name is spelled Kaley. Last name is Were, Were. You can find my performance Instagram, Kaley_Were. And for makeup artistry everywhere, I am at Kaley Were Beauty.
Awesome. And we'll have the links, all that kind of stuff in the show notes. You're a goddess. I love you. Thank you for being here. Look at the face.
I love you so much, Nicole. Thank you for having me. This has been super healing and beautiful. So thanks.
She makes me laugh. She makes me smile. I love Kaley. I really want you all to go follow her. Her videos are incredible. They're such professional quality. I mean, she's just so knowledgeable. Also, don't forget to check out the shop link that she mentioned in the show. I have it all linked in the show notes. And if you want to take her up on the 50% off makeup surfaces. I can't believe she did that. That was so incredibly kind. Go to KaleyWereBeauty.com or send her a DM on Instagram at KaleyWereBeauty and let her know you're an Imperfect Success listener. Sweet friends, before we sign off today, don't forget to take the What Type of Perfectionist Are You quiz. You can go to lifecoachbaker.com/quiz. You not only get to take a very BuzzFeed style quiz that tells you what type of perfectionist you are, but it'll also tell you how to overcome the negatives of that side of perfectionism. I don't know about y'all, but I needed to know that when I was deep in my perfectionism desperately. So that is a free quiz. You can go to lifecoachbaker.com/quiz or click the link in the show notes. Sweet friends, that's all we got for today. Thank you, and keep striving for imperfect success. Bye.